Hey, what's up? This is Chosen, and this video is going to be going over the Platinum Arena champion usage rates and how they changed from the last time that I did a video like this. So let's get into it. Alrighty, so I'll go ahead and pull up the last one that I did. There's a reason I have it scrunched off the screen a little bit. It's because I'm going to pull up the new one. But yeah, this was the first time that I dove into looking at the top 100 of Platinum Arena to try to get a feel for exactly what the meta is and what it's shaping up to be. So back when I did this original one, we could see the top 10 used champions in the top of Platinum Arena was Torment, Arbiter, Duchess, Rhodos, Ceres, Hegemon, Krisk, Mountain King, Skullcrown, and Siphi. Now, okay, so a couple things to take away here. Obviously, Torment was a fusion that was pretty accessible to almost every endgame player. And, you know, with him being so suppressive in the arena, that's why he was so popular. He was easily accessible and an arena specialist kind of with a really suppressive kit. So thus he was used a lot. Arbiter is obvious. We don't have to go into that. But a couple things to note on that one is Siphi and Rhodos had kind of just come out. So basically anyone who had Siphi was using her, and she kind of snuck into the top 10 even though she had just gotten released, and she was never a fusion or anything. So Siphi being a void legendary, she was very hard to get, so not very many people had her, so it was very impressive that she was able to sneak into the top 10 and even be on the chart. Rhodos was a fusion, so similar to Torment, he was a lot more accessible for the endgame players to go ahead and get, and he's such a good DPSer in the arena, so it was not surprising to see him slide up the board even though he was very new. So let me go ahead and pull up the new one. And here is that. So I just made this today, and typically I like to wait and do this until Sundays because we get a little bit more of an accurate representation in Platinum Arena because people are really pushing up to get their rank as high as possible when the arena week is going to end. So Sunday is kind of your best opportunity to get accurate data. It's never going to be perfect, but you know, you're just doing your best to get a good representation of kind of the meta and how it's shifting. So it's been about, I don't know, unfortunately I didn't do one in March, but I believe I did the last one at the end of February. So it's been about 6 weeks since I did the last top 10 platinum chart, and we can see a couple things taking shape here. Rhodos has overtaken the throne that Torment used to sit on, and Torment has dropped to number 4. So a little bit more people are getting Rhodos in that time, and the people who do have him are realizing how good he is, so they're really moving him into their team and using him more often. And also we see Siphi moving all the way up to number 3, despite the fact that she has a void legendary and is very tough to acquire. So this means basically anyone who has her is using her in the arena, and not only using her in the arena, but trying to pair her with Rhodos, because Siphi and Rhodos have a very strong tandem effect when they are on the same team. Arbiter staying locked in there at the number 2 slot, not surprising. She has a very good kit for the arena with the speed aura, the revive, the lowering duration of buffs, boosting turn meter. It's not hard to guess why she's probably going to be a staple at the higher tiers of arena. And if you get her up to 320, 330 speed, it's really not shocking why she performs super well in the arena. A couple other things to take note of here is Hegemon is basically staying locked in right at his spot, not really shifting up or down. Looks like Hegemon is one of the more consistent. He just kind of is what he is. Ceres dropped a little bit, still popular, still maintaining that top 10 spot because Ceres has a ridiculous kit for the arena, and she's a little bit more accessible, being an epic and not a legendary. Krisk also staying very consistent. Hegemon and Krisk not really changing at all. The people that had them and were using them are still continuing to use them, and they are still kind of staying locked in the meta. Now, a couple newcomers is going to be Trunda really sliding up there into the top 5, and we're going to see Warlord and Valkyrie sneaking in to replace Skullcrown and Mountain King kind of on the back end of the top 10. And since Trunda is kind of the biggest mover coming out of the top 10 and sliding way up into the top 5 in the last 6 weeks, let me go ahead and put these away, and let's kind of dive into Trunda and see what has kind of caused her to really rise up the board here. Alright, so Trunda, also a good determining factor is that Trunda is not void, so she is a lot more realistic to attain as opposed to someone like Krisk, Hegemon, and Siphi, which are void legendaries and are much tougher to get. But Trunda has an A1 that attacks one enemy 2 times with a 50% chance to stun that we can book up to 60%. So having an A1 that stuns is really good, obviously, for the arena. Then we've got an A2 that attacks one enemy and then attacks all other enemies with a second hit, dealing 60% of damage inflicted. So again, a good DPSer. And the A3 is attack all enemies with a 70% chance of placing a stun for 1 turn, places an HP burn debuff for 2 turns on enemies under stun debuffs, places an extra hit on enemies not under stun. So again, we've got more CC and lots of damage. Then we've got a passive that this champion's resistance increases by 10 for each stun debuff this champion places on enemies, stacks across all rounds in a battle up to 100. This champion's speed increases by 5 for each enemy currently under an HP burn debuff, only counts active HP burn debuffs and can stack up to 15. So, obviously at the higher, super high GG tiers of Arena, resistance is very sought after. So her having a passive that really pairs well with stuns that she's placing and ups her resistance and kind of helps her snowball, CC the other team, get good resistance, be a good DPSer, and she can really be that kind of cleanup type champion for those top tier Arena teams. And I also want to take a look at Warlord, because remember, he was one that kind of slid from the depths to being in the top 10. So let's pull up Warlord and kind of see why he's rising into the meta here at the top of Plat. So we've got an A1, that a 25% chance of increasing the duration of all debuffs on the target. That's a very good A1. Buffs and debuffs are extremely important in the arena. His ability to have an A1 that procs a debuff extension is extremely strong. And then we've got an A2 that places a shield buff equal to 30% of this champion's max HP. Typically, we're going to get very high HP on Warlord. And then we're going to restore all allies' HP by 25%. Obviously, healing is always good. Places a block debuffs buff on all allies for 1 turn. So again, like I said, blocking debuffs, placing debuffs, cleansing, extending buffs, all of those sorts of things are very strong. Anything in relation to buffs and turn meter is very strong in the arena. Then we've got the A3 that is AoE, 70% chance to place each target's skills on cooldown with a 30% chance to fully deplete each target's turn meter. Wow, that's an insane ability for the arena. Turn meter manipulation and putting skills on cooldown, and we can book that up to a 100% chance of proccing as long as he has really good accuracy. So not hard to understand why Warlord is kind of slotting in and seeing a lot of usage up in the top tier of Arena. An ally resist by 50 in all battles is a pretty good RR. Resistance is also very strong in the Arena. I don't remember seeing a lot of people using Warlord as the leader, but I can see it being an option for some teams because resistance is very strong up at the higher tiers of Arena. But yeah, let me back out and kind of pull these things up here again. And now, I don't want to take too much of your time. It's just something fun I like to do every few weeks is keep an eye on the meta. I don't want to kind of harp on it too long and have a 45-minute video about it or anything. I will also have a link to these little infographic charts down in the video description so you can pull them up and take a look. And I'm going to try to keep a nice little history of these and really see how things are changing up and do this once a month or so. So obviously it's kind of the middle of April. I'll make sure and try to do one of these sometime in May so we can see a little bit of what is changing, especially if there's any sort of patching or rebalancing or anything. I wonder if Mashaled is going to squeeze up into the top 10 or anything. That was kind of the most notable change as of in the last month or so was Mashaled getting a crazy buff. And I remember Tormin, his passive got slightly nerfed a little bit, which could have an effect on why he slid a little bit down the board. You can see his usage rate is at about half of what it was, maybe even less, and why we could see someone like Warlord maybe slide up and start to kind of progress into the top 10, and Valkyrie as well, because she's another one that places buffs and all sorts of stuff. So yeah, it's all kind of fluid and will be changing a lot, and I will do my best to keep you guys updated on the meta up at the top of Plat at least once a month or so. So yeah, let me know what you think down in the comments, and as always, thank you for watching. Have a good rest of your day. Peace.